everybody. My name is Angie Morenga. You're watching Just Angie, and it's surely for and I am back. Niliona kulikuwa takeover ati takeover. Taking over from who? I am right back here. But I was really, really glad for the series that has just happened. I'm really proud of Althea and all that she was able to do and her guests. And I'm sure now you've also watched Kate and her guests, and that was so good and very encouraging for me. I'm preparing the next generation. I keep telling everyone I'm in my legacy building years, but I am back. Did I sing? Return of the Mac. I'm back. Return of the Mac. Wait, Nimerudi. I'm back here, so I'm really grateful. But I've had a good rest as well. And today I was just like, even for the first video, there are things I want to say, but allow me to be all over the place because that's my style. I have so much to say. So the reason, first of all, maybe some people are wondering why did Althea come, but I think I had explained it. It's about legacy. It's about being able to pass on the mantle to the next generation. So I know now both her and Matu did so well. Woo! Shout out to Althea and Matu. Shout out to Kate. Oh my goodness. All of them did me proud. So I'm really, really grateful. Of course, it was amazing to see the numbers. I was like, wow, wow, wow. On one side, like we had heard God, because I think by the time I was asking Althea to come on, I'd heard God around October, and then I was like, okay, you talk to her as well, and then she agreed, and I mean, absolutely amazing. The numbers have gone through the roof. TikTok, our viewers on YouTube, on Facebook, our subscribers have increased. I was like, wow, one video had 200,000 views. I'm like, wow, thank you, Jesus. I was like, I don't know what is that a reflection on me? But I was like, no. Thank God you do these things when you've sorted out your identity. I know what I've been able to do. I know who I am. And so I stand on that. But it was good to see that they got the popular vote. And I think the conversations, maybe it's the audience, maybe it's the people they were talking to, people who are their age. I don't know why and who told us that beautiful young people cannot love God, cannot love Jesus, cannot be all sold out to Him, and yet have fun with their lives. So I like the kingdom that the kingdom of God, the way they're presenting it, that it's fun, that it's beautiful, that we can do great things and be good people and still make it out there. So I really loved their content. I loved when Matu brought the men. It's a safe space. Some of them have not even watched the videos. I'm like, have you watched yourself? They haven't watched themselves, but I'm glad there was also a male conversation, and we'll be having a lot more of that because we want to be developed, all of us, not just some of us. So today, I was also on sabbatical. I was trying to rest, but oh my goodness, the only sabbatical that I was supposed to be in sabbatical February and March, but the only sabbatical that I really enjoyed and did was in February, and I had to leave the country to go. So when I left the country, I really rested because sometimes you get so tired. So maybe that's a message out there for somebody, don't keep pushing yourself. You have to rest. You must rest. And I've tried, but I think I've understood that I need to be away from the country. I just find myself doing things. Maybe it's the way we were raised. Maybe it's the way that our culture. You can't just sit. And then I'm always, people will come and I'll try. And I just have to. I'm like, now how can this person wait for a month? I've got to see them now. So I found that I didn't rest in March. But at least I rested from just Angie and Althea, Matu and Cayte were able to host. And there'll be more surprise hosts. We have to do this. I think it's a platform that I will give others to express themselves because it's not just all about me. So today, the one thing I wanted to talk about was a topic that I've been reading and researching on. I've taught a bit about it, and it's about emotional underdevelopment. But then, as I said that, because it's Mother's Day, we're coming up to Mother's Day. I think the 8th of May is also the anniversary of my parents, although my dad is late now. It's the anniversary of my parents' marriage, but also that we're coming up to Mother's Day. And I feel like the message is about how we're developing our families and developing ourselves and our children so that they can live in the world. They're prepared for the world. So when I was studying about emotional underdevelopment, first of all, I went to ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I don't know whether you're like me. ChatGPT, I type in, then it gives me a whole message. Then I'm like, wait, who is in here? I start talking to it. What? I start praying. Who are you? But it's always very, very accurate. So as I did my study, I'm reading a book, but then I went into ChatGPT just to get a different story about what is it about emotional health. And there's a definition I found which I wanted to read, which is here. And that definition really, I just said, wow. But it said that, I can't find the definition right now, but I can find what it was saying. It said that emotional development is about being able to interact socially. And for me, I wrote there, this didn't happen for me. I don't think I was taught how to interact socially with people. Um, to make decisions, that one really got me because I thought for my age group and the generation that I grew up in, I feel like decisions were made for us. I'll talk about myself. Decisions were made for me. So every decision was made. What I ate, what I wore, where I went to school. I had the privilege of being dropped at school, picked up. Even to my shock, as I sat there, I thought about even my going to college. I went to the Leeds Polytechnic, but that application was made for me, and I was told 2 days before. But where am I getting to? So all these decisions were made for me, and then one day I was told, make decisions. So when I reflect, I made really bad decisions. I like what my friend Reverend Lee says, that we've got to make high quality decisions. And that's coming a bit late in my life. So what's the point of this? Is to try to tell you, whatever age you are and wherever you are, please understand the importance of making decisions. And I understand even now. I mean, children are taken to boarding school, then they're taken to campus. Then you've been wondering, how come people are Christians when they're in school, and then when they go to campus they drop out? It's because I think decisions have been made for them, and then all of a sudden they have to make decisions, and they make now these decisions that they've never been able to make. Now they make poor quality decisions because you're excited, you're going with the hype, you're going with the flow. And then to go back, I'm still going to a third point, but we were not even taught how to interact socially. If you went to school, if you were bullied, if you were made fun of, you didn't know what to say. Did you learn to be a people pleaser in school because you wanted to fit in? Did you bully other people because that's what people were doing? There's so much drama. So you have to be very careful about the decisions that you made. So I found that in this definition, as I do my study on emotional health, is that I wasn't given the tools to interact socially, neither was I given the tools to make decisions. And why am I even sharing this? As parents, we need to empower our children on how to make decisions. They have to be involved in the decision making process. And then, as people or children, because we're all different ages, we have to be very careful about the decisions that we make. There's something else that I've discovered that and also, yeah, all this happened because me and Althea went for therapy. And as we've done our therapy, I saw a side of her story that I'd never seen. Because for me, I was trying to survive. I was just trying to survive. I was trying to make sure that we have a roof over our head, we have food on the table, we have a semblance of life. I didn't have time to focus on the nitty gritty. And maybe you're out there and that's what your parenting style was as well. I'm not blaming. I'm just saying all these things came out because of having these conversations, or conversations that we had not had. But I think these conversations can be had earlier. The earlier, the better, the more understanding. And then for me, one of the other things I told her is that why I wanted to ask now, I got the first time I went to therapy, I hated it, I quit. Then this other time I felt I wanted to go, she wanted to go, let's go. And the whole idea was telling her, I don't want to pass on from this world leaving things that I didn't understand. I really want to unpack the good things, and I want to unpack the not so great things. I want to unpack who and what my life has been. And you see, I'm coming up to my 60th year. This year is 59, the next year is 60. So I feel like I have like 20 good years, let's say. She doesn't like me to say that, but don't tell her. Let's say we have because you see, you also don't want to live and be weak. If I'm going to live, I need to be strong. I need to be able to do the things I do. I'm such an independent woman. I never used to understand why my grandmother would come from the village. She's being treated, she wants to go back to the village because we love our space. Me, you can't get me out of my space. I love my space. I live alone now, so when I lock my doors, even people would wonder, aren't you lonely? And then no, my life now has a system. It has a structure. I love my space. And so I was saying, if let's say I have 20 good years of this legacy building, 20 good years to pour everything out that I have, and then maybe retire after 80, and now relax and pray for strength. I want these 20 years, the next 20 years, to be very impactful for me and for myself. And part of that is knowing myself, and knowing my most important relationship after God has been with Althea, and now with Matu, and then with Alora. Alora is about to take over. By the way, that child, the day she says she'll show, I think the inheritance is gone. Change everything to Alora. I was even asking, can she open a bank account? They look at me, they're giving me side eye. I'm like, this child, there's something about being a grandparent. And now I digress, but that's how we flow here. But I mean, being a grandparent is the greatest gift that I have ever received. I just hold her. I want to eat her. She's so cute. She makes noises. She loves me. I can't wait. I can't wait for we go away, we do trips, we do stuff. Anyway, where were we? Finding yourself. So I didn't want to live the next 20 years with some of the stresses that we have, even as mother and daughter, and we're not talking about it. I'd rather we talk about it. Let's unpack it. I was very scared. I didn't know how much going to therapy can cause anxiety. Oh my God, my anxiety went through the roof as the day kept coming, because I didn't know what to expect. And so we had a really, other things I think I exposed too much, but anyway, we had a really good, like 4 sessions. Then it blew up. What a tsunami. Even when we came back, the therapist was like, mulikuwa mnarudi? Yes, yeah. Because we're determined to work about it. So your emotional health is supposed to teach you how to interact socially, how to make decisions. And then I just wrote there, no wonder my decisions. And then give you an overall well-being on how to guide your behavior. So you see, we're not emotionally underdeveloped, because I thought I could unpack this, and I pray that I will, as we continue in the podcast, that it's actually very many places. If you look at all the areas that make up man or humanity, we didn't leave home developed, not only emotionally. And I'm trying to tell you this so that you correct it. Emotional health guides behavior. So, but we're not developed even spiritually. I can say some people are not developed about your mind, about what you're supposed to focus on, what you're supposed to be reading, how to develop your mind, how to develop your soul, which is your mind, your will, your emotions. Then we were not maybe taught how to look after ourselves physically. We were not given financial advice. We were not prepared financially to be able to spend our money or save it. We're not given structures around finances, even around career. It's amazing when I taught this somewhere, actually at Mavuno Marketplace Movement, and the messages I got, they were really sad. You know how parents have interfered even in where people are working. You get a job, then because your parent doesn't know maybe much about that place, because that's the only thing we can think of. They were told not to take that job, they were told not to take this opportunity, and they didn't. And it was sort of told to us. We come from a generation where we were just told what can happen and what cannot happen. And I still feel the parents were not advising from an evil point of view. It's what they knew. And it reminds me, one day, I remember when Althea was applying to go to school in the UK. Okay, she went to Leeds. I went to Leeds as well. She went to Leeds. But then when she was going to London, she said, she was mentioning some areas. She was like, oh, mom, there are hostels in this area and this area. Then I was saying, no, those areas are very underdeveloped. When I went to the areas, my goodness, I should just have kept my mouth shut. I was like, yeah, it's like I'm stuck. I'm giving her advice of 20 or 30 years ago. But in this time, the places are developed, they are modern, change has taken place. So I'm not saying that even parents are advising us from a negative place, but it's from their knowledge, and we have to gain our knowledge. So this message is for people who are raising children. Please develop them emotionally, because it's a very big part of their development. For this particular study, I was looking at emotional health and spirituality as well, which is important, because they were saying they're inseparable. And there's a statement that they made that I wanted to say in terms of emotional health. Another aspect is, are we starved of attention and starved of affection? And I remember seeing a post once, and it was a Gen Z girl, and she was saying that they were ignored, and I couldn't fathom how they were ignored, because my first thing was, You've been fed, you look very healthy, she looked healthy, she looked beautiful, look like you've been educated, you've been given all the opportunities that you need, but they say that they were sort of ignored. And then when I was reading this emotional health thing, I thought maybe that's it. Maybe it's the place where we are starved of affection and starved of attention. And therefore, as a person who's raising a family, are you giving your family the affection and the attention that they need? Because that becomes a foundational, I don't want to say injustice, but something is wrong if we don't give our loved ones, including our children, the right affection and the right attention. So we can provide everything. I remember once my nephew Bob came on this podcast and he came on Just Angie and he spoke about how parents, especially single parents, when when their children ask them where the other parent is, they usually say, "And you have a roof over your head and you have food," and he kept saying that's the wrong answer. So I'm also feeling like that. We may provide everything that we're providing for our children, just like I was providing everything I could for Althea, trying to survive. Honestly, when I think about it now, just managing on barely enough. But so my thoughts were not now on her feelings and her emotions and how she was feeling through. Oh, there's something I wanted to say. As we've gone through this journey, I've also understood something, that you must do things with counsel. Psalm 1 verse 1 to 3 says that that we need to flow in the counsel of the godly and not the ungodly. So one of the things that really has come out of this whole therapeutic process is that you must make decisions with counsel. So you need to find a good mentor or somebody that you can trust. You need to sound things off, people. So just sound it off so that you don't make decisions by yourself. Because the decisions I made by myself, now looking back or sitting down and talking about it and how they affected her, were not the right decisions. Maybe if I'd sat down with counsel, sought godly counsel, or any counsel, as long as it's people who are for you and they are not, they don't have evil, they have good intention for you, I think it's important. There are decisions that have to be made with lots of thoughts, or take different viewpoints, and then when you bring it together, now you make the decision, because the decision has to be yours. But you need to think through, how is this going to affect the other person? How is this decision going to impact them? That's something that I didn't do. But again, I said also, we were not taught how to make decisions. It seems so simple, but it's so important. You have to teach your children how to make decisions. What decisions are they making? And then for me, hey, my life. And even my parents, they did the best with what they did. I'm not blaming anyone. But I'm always saying, and I think I've written it in my book in Raw, I was a problem, and so they decided to ship the problem to the UK. It is the grace of God that I'm here and alive and well, because you can't ship a problem. You already have a person who is making wrong decisions and they are home. Now you send them to another country. God, I mean, what could have happened? And for some reason, the upbringing, I keep thinking, I started going to church even there, and I wouldn't go to church here. But that's a bit of throwing people into the deep end. If we're not making the right decisions here, how then do you pick that person and transport them to another space where you're not there and expect them to make decisions? So that was really good for me. Being emotionally underdeveloped. This book has my secrets. I can't share them, all of them, but yeah, this statement about being emotionally underdeveloped and starved of affection and attention, I just looked at all the places where I felt that I was starved of affection and attention growing up, at home, at school, in my marriage, in divorce, in my life. I've always felt that affection and attention thing and being starved of it. And then the other aspect of emotional health or emotional underdevelopment that I found is in relationships. And you see, as you continue in life, and it would not be a great legacy if I didn't tell you that relationships are everything. But I find that because of being emotionally underdeveloped, because of not being socialized properly, how to interact socially, how to make decisions, and how to how do you behave in certain situations, then I find that many of my relationships are fractured. And that could be a message out there to somebody. And the immediate thing for me is just to isolate or hang out with the people that I hang out with, and then go back into my self isolation. But I feel like that's something that I need to come out of, and something that the earlier you learn how to handle relationships, the better. And that's a message for anyone out there, please. The earlier you learn how to handle relationships, how to take your time, how to listen, and especially if, I think this is a message for those who have not been socialized, how to have and to handle relationships. Go into a deep dive. I mean, these days we have everything. You have all sorts. I mean, I'm always mentioning ChatGPT. I'm sure there are others that you can go and find vision, purpose, life definition, and find out, what do I do about relationships? And one of the things I think I will say is, be slow to make decisions. And the other thing I've learned is to mind my business. The way I stay in my lane, like I'm on apps. People, you can't even see, I can't see. Me, I'm not getting involved in that thing. And then I think, learn to choose your battles. Is it my battle? I think there's somebody who told me about, is it my monkey? It's not my monkey. Leave it. Learn how to handle relationships, because it's important. And maybe just because it's dropped in my spirit, maybe then we'll have better marriages as well. Because I find like even marriages, they're just breaking down for the sake of breaking down. I mean, we've got to manage our relationships, manage our feelings, manage our emotions, make decisions that are great decisions. If you've come together in marriage and you've told us you want to be married, and we came and we witnessed that union, then you really owe it to yourself to work at it. And there's something else I'm feeling like marriages. I'm seeing a lot of marriages these days that are working with therapy. Maybe maybe it's saying something. Maybe it's, we didn't talk about this. Because you see, I think the thing, when I keep reflecting on things that spoil marriages, the Bible says that it's the foxes, little foxes that spoil the fight. Just little things. It says the little leaven lumpens the whole loaf. It's the little things. It's nothing. If you ask people why they broke up, it's little things. So if we learn to manage and to flow in this relationship with therapy, then it will be therapeutic. Or even you yourself, go to therapy yourself, prepare yourself, heal your wounds, heal your trauma, look at your emotional dysfunction. Where are you not operating in maximum? What kind of decisions have you made up to this point? And how are those decisions going to impact you either positively or negatively? And then always look at something I never understood, the impact of your decisions. How is this going to impact this relationship? How is this decision going to impact this relationship? How is this decision going to affect this relationship? And you'll be a person who is better off. How do we go before we reveal that to the world and say we're leaving? Okay, come to the table. Let's say, what do you want to say? Let's sit down before a therapist. And I don't think there's a time I thought they were overrated, but they are not, because conversations happen. For me, I'll always be grateful for the therapy that I'm doing with my daughter, because I would never have known some of the perspectives that she's bringing out. And I think it can be scary, but we need to go and listen, and we need to go and hear and hear and see ourselves. The other thing, that one I'm not even ready to face yet. I'll come back and tell you when I am. But it's blind spots. Because blind spots, now you have to ask other people to share what your blind spots are. That's a very painful process. Unless they are kind first. They have to be kind to people who can tell me what my blind spots are, and tell me in a nature and a positive way. They want better for me, not just for me to be hurt by who I am, because we're all like that. So I hope this helps you. And as I thought about it as well, I said, it's not just emotionally underdeveloped. We're not, prepare people financially, prepare them for their career, prepare them as they go into the marketplace, prepare them to engage with older people, prepare them to live without you. That is that's another thing. You have to prepare people to live without you. You're not going to be here forever. So as you exit, what happens? How have you left them? How have you left your children prepared? Because it brings me to other stories where I think of the parents who have passed away and left their children, and they were not prepared. And so it was hard for those children even to live with anyone or to be accommodated by anybody else. And some of them, their lives are not going well at all. But it's just because the parents didn't play their part. So I think what I'm saying is, as a parent, Your part is not only to provide education and food and clothing and somewhere to lay their head. You have to provide more. You have to develop your children to be able to live with other people, to be able to engage with others, to be able to have great relationships, to be able to follow into amazing careers, to be able to make decisions and decisions that are going to impact them positively. I really hope that you can engage me on this and let me know what your thoughts are. And maybe I end on a positive note. As I went through all that, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much negativity. But I also focused on positive things that I've done. And I love that as I did my research, they said also you have to affirm yourself. And even when you find negative aspects of yourself, do not let that overcrowd or overshadow what you have done. So for me, I even said to myself, I had to say to myself, I've done a good work. I've built something. I've done the things that God has asked me to do. I've done just Angie. I've written the books and I still have more to write. I've done the events that I need to do. I've done the what else have I done? I've done Unstuck, I've done Women Rising, I've done Men Impacting Differently, I've done the KBS Youth, I've done the retreat every year, and that's also becoming such a beautiful place for people to go. I've done PLF, and there's a great and active alumni out there, and then there are classes going on in Kenya, in Tanzania, and that's good. Yeah, so there's the positive aspect. So before you get depressed and pulled down into everything that's not working and the things that you have not done well, affirm yourself as well in the things that you have done well. What have you done that is great and good? And even for me, with Miss Althea, is that at least I did my best. I raised her the best that I could. I can actually say that. It's just that I was lacking wisdom, direction. You're also going through something traumatic. Um, I don't think I was ever expecting to raise a child by myself. That was not the plan. And maybe that's how these things happen. It's not the plan, but somehow it's the plan. But you've got to make the best of every situation that we go under, we go through. So I hope that's a helpful podcast. I'm also going to come back and talk one day about the iceberg principle, something that I learned. But just to touch on it as I end, is that what I loved about the iceberg principle is the iceberg is you can see the tip of the iceberg, what's above water, but what's below water you cannot see. And I think that's what even they say sunk the Titanic, is that you can underestimate the size of the iceberg and the foundation that it has. And the only thing I'll say is that in terms of this conversation, the part of the iceberg that people can see is only 10%. That's what people see about you. But there's a whole 90%. And that's the thing with working on emotionally, developing emotionally, we have to work on the 90% that is below the surface that people cannot see. That when you walk behind closed doors, nobody sees, but you see. And maybe it's something that is causing you turmoil every day. You know, your stomach churns. Maybe that's the imposter syndrome thing as well, because you actually know who you are and you know the real you. Yeah, we even wrote a book called The Real You. You know the real you, and therefore that brings certain fears upon you. Like, will they discover who I really am? Um, will they discover who I really am? But it's time to work on what's below the surface. And I think I can say that with authority. I used to remember when Bishop T.D. Jakes used to say, you have to earn the right to speak. I think I've earned the right to speak, but we are very passive aggressive as Kenyans. And that also compounds the problem, because we are sitting on the outs we're standing on the outside, but we are sitting on the inside. So we are very aggressive, but in a passive way. And maybe that's something we need to address. Why all the aggression? Why are we so passive aggressive? Why are we making decisions that are not in line for the purposes of this, because it's a podcast? Why do we make decisions that are not in line with what God ordained, or even decisions that are good? You know, people just know whether you're for faith or not. People just know what's good. And I must come and share my Qatar story. I think when I went to Doha, I was like, okay, God, really, where are you? What is going on here? Why is there's so much order? I love order. I love excellence. I love equity, that everybody gets to enjoy the wealth of the nation. I was in tears. I was like, oh my goodness, why is it that we can't get this right? But maybe and I started looking at even the people who who started Qatar, and all the amazing decisions that are really great, leadership decisions that have been made. And I was like, wow, these people have the right leaders. They had the right vision, people who care about others. And maybe that's what emotional development will do for you. I'd really like to hear from you. Please comment, like, subscribe, but also tell me how this has spoken to you, how we take it further, because this is just the beginning. So I'm on a journey to continue doing my best to discover how we can be more emotionally healthy and even guided to and tied even to spirituality. So these are conversations that we shall be having. I love being back. I'm so grateful to be back. I'm back for this month of May, and then you never know what will happen. So God bless you. Love you so much. Thank you for listening to me. And remember, emotional health is about guided behavior, how to interact socially, how to make decisions, and how to be well, wholesomely well. And let's equip ourselves and another generation to do so. God bless. Love you. Bye.